Hey, this is Cheryl. Welcome back to my channel. We're trying something different. We're going to go the quick and dirty route and see how much content we can pump out over the next 100 days. I'm not going to say I'm going to do one a day for 100 days because that would mean that I have to commit to being consistent, but I will say that I'm going to try. And so here we are today. I wanted to make a slightly longer version of the TikTok I actually just put out there for you about how to put yourself in front of the right groups of people. It's one of the most common questions that I get from other freelancers, service providers, and even like the course creators and audience business owners that I talk to every day. And so I wanted to elaborate a little bit on some of the key points. Number one, I never focused on finding them like congregating online and figuring out what keywords that they were using and things like that. Those strategies never really worked for me because they required me to fit inside of a box or to be consistent or to do things that just never really worked for me and my brain. So what I always try to do is figure out what these people had in common. Okay, this doesn't have to be an industry. It doesn't have to be a niche. It can be a problem. It can be a service that they are already purchasing that yours is complementary to. It can be a location. It can be that they like you. Like, it really doesn't matter. You are your niche. So whatever the clients that you really want to work with have in common is what you really need to focus on finding. Okay. If what they have in common happens to be an industry associations, directories, top 10 lists, top 100 lists of companies like that are really great places to find lists of these companies. This is primarily if you're a service provider, okay? If you're a service provider, you don't need to be building a big audience. You don't need to have a whole bunch of traffic to your website. You don't need to have 100,000 people on your mailing list. You really just need to do some outreach and get some people in your world, 3 to 5 clients at a time, working with you for a few months or longer at a time, and you can really get some consistency and stability that way. You actually don't need to build a really big audience. You can do this all through outreach. You don't need to find a big mass lump sum of all of these clients hanging out in one place, okay? So look for those lists, look for those industry associations if the thing they have in common is an industry association. If the thing they have in common is a problem, look at where else they might go to get that problem solved. So there's probably other companies that are providing services to your ideal clients already. You know, if you provide tax services, look at bookkeepers. If you provide design services, look at copywriters. Look at who else is solving problems for the clients that you really want to be working with, that they, and you know, the problems that they have in common with other people, essentially. And then go there and just start digging into their portfolio pieces. Start looking at their testimonials. Start looking at the logos and things that they put on their website to brag about all the awesome stuff that they've done. That gives you a really good clue as to the types of companies that are actually hiring these people. So they're the types of companies that have these problems. And then you can literally just go searching for their competition. A lot of the time, and I know many of the people who follow me who are service providers are marketing service providers specifically, copywriters, brand designers, advertisers, social media marketers, all those sorts of things. A lot of times the companies who are, you know, out there trying to market and get a foothold above their competition are actually advertising in Google against the keywords that their competitors rank for, or even against their competitors' actual names. So going and doing a simple Google search for like an amazing big company you'd love to work for one day can actually uncover dozens of their competitors, and you can help their competitors actually get a foothold in the niche by reaching out to them and saying, hey, look, I really like this about this company. I assume you're the same way. I'd really love to talk with you. I'd really love to work with you. I'd really love to what have you, right? So that can be a really good way to find potential clients just out there in the wild, looking at who else is working with these companies and going through their portfolios or testimonials and finding out what types of companies are currently hiring. Job ads are another really great source of this. So if you want to be a generalist, let's say you're earlier in your career, you don't have a big portfolio of clients and things like that, I always recommend being a generalist early on in your career, like as much as possible. I recommend just taking on any client that'll have you when you're building your first 5 to 10 clients out and you don't really have a specific area you want to focus on. I've never really had a niche personally. I don't really believe in permanent niches, so to speak. I like the power of niching down to really understand set groups of clients. But in the beginning, just take anyone that will have you so you can build up some income, build up some confidence, and build a portfolio. So the thing that you might have in common with these people is that maybe they live in the same town as you. Maybe they all know this one person who's a real big gem and they recommend you to a bunch of people. Maybe the thing that you have in common with them is that you're all part of one tight-knit group of people that are, involved in some sort of extracurricular activity, a hobby, something else. Don't discount the things that are in your personal life as a source of things that you have, people that you have something in common with. That's really all you need to find. You need to figure out what these people have in common with each other and how you can serve them, or what they have in common with you and how you can serve them. And that's what creates the connections. So if you're a little bit further on and you know who you want to work with, look for, what those people have in common, and then try and find other service providers, or if it's industries, like niche lists and associations and industry associations and top 10 lists. If you're earlier on in your career, be a generalist. Take anyone that will have you, and look locally, look through your referral sources and things like that. The second part of this is really how to get in front of them. Okay, so let's say you have an industry association list that you want to go after. How do you actually go after those clients? 9 times out of 10, done for you services, outreach is the way to go. I know it's big and it's scary, especially the way a lot of people do it, where it can be very salesy and have a lot of pressure and just be really uncomfortable. I promise you, if you reach out and you start having coffee chats with people and be genuine and ask lots of questions and ask them to mentor you, you can get a lot of traction just being a cool person and talking to people. You do not have to email people cold out of the blue and say, hey, would you like to hire me and give me money for these services? 9 times out of 10, cold emails that go direct to, hey, will you hire me? These are the services that I provide, are only going to get the potential clients who are already aware that they want to purchase that type of service. Okay, so chances are they already know their budget, they already are shopping around, they know your competition, they know exactly what they're looking for. They're not going to be ideal high-paying clients anyway. The clients that go for high-ticket long-term contracts are the clients that understand the problem but haven't fully formed the solution yet, and they rely on you to be the expert to help them form the solution. Those are going to be the clients that you have a coffee chat with and figure out, hey, you're trying to hit your Q4 growth goals and Black Friday's coming up, but you don't have any email promotions set. Oh my goodness, I wonder if I could help you with that. Let me see if I can pull together a plan real quick, and you can take it and run with it, or maybe I can help you implement if you have the time and the budget to do so. Those conversations are where clients and referrals and a network actually happen. They do not happen just from doing outreach saying, hey, hire me, hey, I'm a copywriter, hey, I'm a designer, hey, come give me work. Okay, those things can work for people if all they want is work. But if you want a long-term, sustainable, consistent business, what you need is a large network of relationships that you have built with people who understand what you do and the amazing amount of skills that you have as a neurodivergent person, and build those connections with them. So reaching out for coffee chats, reaching out to do market research, reaching out to do interviews, reaching out to have them on your podcast, reaching out to have them on your blog. These are all things that you can do that start to build that relationship with them that may turn into a client relationship at some point. As soon as you uncover a problem that they have that you can solve with your services, your only job is to say, hey, I can help you with that. And it's a lot more comfortable if you've already been talking about something else and you have that relationship established. Okay. So if you're over there on the service provider side, that's what I recommend. If you're over on the audience building side, like I am now, it gets harder. It's a lot less fun, but you really just have to look for where these people are congregating, already trying to solve their problems. And so instead of looking at content factories and looking at Instagram accounts and things like that, what you really need to be looking at is communities. Communities form on blogs, communities form here on YouTube in the comment sections, communities form on Slack, they form on Facebook, they form on LinkedIn. This is the fastest path to actually starting to develop a community around you and your content, okay? You want to look where people are talking to each other, because then you can join the conversation and people can start getting interested in you. They can start following you. They can start getting your advice. They can start listening to you talk and give wisdom to other people. And if they have a way to interact with you in any way, Facebook, they can become your friend. LinkedIn, they can become a connection. Slack, they can start sending you private messages. You know, there's almost always a way that these people can connect with you on a long-term basis and build more of a relationship with you. That's where you need to go. That's the shortcut. Instagram accounts, even TikTok accounts are not the be all end all to creating a long-term sustainable audience-based business these days. It really comes down to community in those early stages, those early days. The first 5 to 10,000 people in your audience are likely going to come from Facebook groups, mutual connections, LinkedIn groups, Slack channels, all those sorts of community-oriented things where you're having one-on-one discussions with other people and they join your group. Not only does that actually grow you faster 9 times out of 10 than trying to just post and use hashtags on Instagram and TikTok and attract people passively off of the internet, it also tends to build higher conversion rates because everyone in your audience is someone you probably had a real conversation with, or someone who's digested more than a couple of pieces of your content because you got to know each other really well. Okay? So if you're on the audience building side of things, you're creating a course, you're creating a product, there's something that you need to sell a large volume of to support your business, and you're not on the done for you services side of things, that's where I would look. Look in the communities, start talking to people, start adding friends, be proactive about this. If you have a conversation with someone, you offer some wisdom and advice, add them as a friend or add them as a connection, start following them. Like, you initiate this. Don't wait for people to follow you because you'll be waiting forever. Start building these relationships, interact on their content, talk to them, and then invite them in your content to talk to you. Don't start cold DMing people. It's not usually what people like responding to when you're building these types of relationships. But going on your LinkedIn, going on your Facebook, going on the big Slack channels, going into these communities and inviting people to come talk to you lets them take the initiative to actually start the conversation. Okay, so once they've connected with you and they're digesting your content, that's a piece of permission and consent that you have to invite them into another conversation. And if they land themselves in your DMs, it's a completely different ballgame, a much higher conversion rate, and a lot less uncomfortable for you. Okay, I've thrown a heck of a lot at you in 12 minutes, but this is how I would put myself in front of the right groups of people, whether I was a service provider or I were a product creator. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because we're nearing 500 subscribers, and I know I'm small potatoes, but that's really cool to me. I think it's really neat to see this community starting to grow. And make sure you share this video with a friend. If there's someone out there that you know that's struggling and can't figure out just how to put themselves in front of the right person, and my high-speed ADHD rambling might just be the thing that they want, make sure you share this video with them because I'm going to try to create a heck of a lot more content like this. Thanks so much. Bye.